Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Taylor Summer, Senior Marketing Manager here at Minoan, and I'm thrilled to be your host for today. Let's see. For anyone who is new to Minoan, we're a free centralized ordering platform that allows hosts, property managers, designers, and boutique hotels to furnish and replenish their spaces on a budget. Now it's time to introduce today's special guest. We have Nick, the marketing director, and Kellen, the sales director from Almost Heaven Saunas. They've helped thousands of clients bring beautiful wellness amenities into their properties, and now they're here to share their insights with us. We also have Alex from our Minoan Brand Partnerships team that's going to be sharing some data and the impact of these amenities on short-term rentals. So, just a few housekeeping items before we dive into the good stuff. The chat is open if you simply want to react to something, but we also will be having a brief Q&A at the end of the session. So please feel free to drop any questions in the chat and we will address as many as we can at the end. Everyone is muted by default, so please remain muted throughout the entire presentation. All right, let's get started. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and you can tell our audience about all the amazing work you're doing at Almost Heaven.
Thank you, Taylor, for that great introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. It's nice to kind of meet you all virtually. Really excited to share the Almost Heaven story with you today. And I want to give a little bit of background on my experience and kind of and also have Kellen give him a chance to share a little bit of his background. I'm Nic Flaws. I've been in marketing for about 20 years. I've actually worked a lot in hospitality. So this is a passion point for me, and I'm excited to talk to all of you. I've worked within Hyatt hotels, also cloud beds, which some of you may be familiar with, as a few other properties as well. So really excited to share the Almost Heaven portfolio with you and also answer some really any questions you may have, and just share how really bringing these products and these experiences to your guests really makes the guest experience even more rich, and can increase, we'll show you soon, bookings and guest satisfaction, which I know is really crucial for any hotel operator. Kellen, you're up.
Thank you, Nick. My name is Kellen Mouw. I've been with Almost Heaven Saunas since about 2018. Prior to that, I was working in healthcare. I decided to make a bit of a career change, thought it would be extremely different, but actually, saunas are much more of a wellness product than I had ever anticipated. So coming from healthcare, learning about health and wellness, it really continued. And I think that wellness trend is really, really popular, and something that a lot of your guests, I think, are truly looking for in part of their experience.
Thank you, Kellen. Yeah, so just a kind of a quick agenda so you guys can know what to expect from today's session. We're going to do a little bit more introduction into Almost Heaven and the brand and the history, and then go into some of our properties that feature our products as well as our core product offering, some wellness tourism trends. We'll touch on that a little bit, but Taylor and team at Minoan will also share some of their insights, and then we'll leave it open for Q&A. So Almost Heaven Saunas has been around for almost 50 years, 1977, which is crazy to say because that's the year my husband was born. So he's getting up there. But a long legacy of sauna craftsmanship. We have our factory based in the beautiful hills of West Virginia, in Lewisburg, where most of our saunas are handcrafted by our amazing team there. We're known for our iconic barrel saunas. So this is something that you'll see maybe often as you look for saunas, these unique kind of almost round looking structures, but they're really, really beautiful, and they fit into so many different backyards. They have that rustic feel. Part of sauna culture in general is to connect more with nature, and that's something that at Almost Heaven, we really tie to. So we have a diverse range of products from saunas, and then those saunas are also come in different forms, from the barrels to cubes to cabins, as well as an indoor portfolio. We offer cold plunges and hot tubs, wood-fired hot tubs, showers, and pretty much you name it for your wellness outdoor space, we have it. I'm going to keep moving here. This kind of shows you a little bit of a highlight of some of that portfolio. Again, that kind of traditional barrel sauna, which is beautiful. We have mostly it's sourced from North American lumber, and we do have sustainability practices to make sure that, again, we return things back to nature. So a lot of our sawdust is repurposed. So it's very important for us. We do have, like I mentioned, Cube, our new Blackwater Cube, which is huge. It's the one I have in my backyard. It's wonderful. It has 2 levels of seating. We also have larger cabins. So anyone looking for more for 4, 5, 6 plus people, a lot of those cabins hold those spaces. We have cold plunge tubs. We're going to continue to go with that trend. Cold plunge and contrast therapy is super not only trending, but also something that's actually ancient and proven. So I was lucky enough to visit our parent company, Harvia in Finland. Harvia is known for 75 years in the heater category. It is the heater, and it's based out of Finland, which is, as we know, where sauna culture really has its history. So within kind of cold plunge, we also have indoor saunas, as I mentioned, that also kind of go in the more modern trend with infrared and hybrid options. So you can get the best of both worlds, both from an electric heater as well as an infrared heater. And we have our wonderful wood-fired hot tubs. I love these. They are yes, truly wood fired. There's no chemicals, no plumbing, nothing is needed. So the maintenance and the sustainability is kind of all tied into one really great experience. You can even turn those hot tubs into plunges with the new chiller that we're coming out with. So lots of variations and options. Kellen, did I cover that? I feel like I probably didn't do as much justice as you would have done.
No, you
Describing
did a great job. No, you covered all the products that we
it.
primarily offer.
Oh, and showers as well. And we have started with steam showers, generators. We have one of our companies that we've recently acquired, Thermosol, out of Austin, Texas. So we were able to kind of, again, offer that full range of wellness amenities or products. Here I have some examples of some of our products and also seeing it in some of our Airbnb partners have utilized it. So you can kind of see what it might look like in your spaces or how you may be able to incorporate it into your guest experience. As we know, and this is kind of moving from product, is that wellness tourism is booming. It's growing at a rate of 20% annually, significantly transforming hospitality offerings. So I know we all know the importance, for instance, of upsell, right? And driving those repeat bookings. A lot of what wellness amenities offer is, that additional reason to book, to also leave great reviews because they're getting this really unique experience that they can't get anywhere else. As we introduce sauna culture to the US, there is a curiosity and education that has to go on. A lot of us didn't grow up with saunas in our backyards like our Finnish friends have. But I think that with the beauty of expanding your wellness offering on your property is that you're giving people this window into this world, as well as to this practice that really can benefit them on multiple levels. One thing that I don't actually have a slide on are all the health benefits that we like to hear our customers share with us, but we also see, from our scientific publications from benefits include, reduced heart rate, blood circulation, skin health, less stress, muscle tension, you name it. Sauna is a very well-known practice to help with a lot of those ailments. I personally suffer from arthritis. And as I started using sauna more regularly, about 4 to 5 times a week for about 20 minutes, I have seen those symptoms really decline, which is amazing. My husband's very pleased because I've stopped complaining about it as much. But it just shows you how it can affect anyone's life and their physical well-being. I'm gonna go to the next one. So as I mentioned, wellness is no longer kind of this niche amenity. It's something that every hospitality manager or owner has to invest into some degree, as those are kind of becoming more demanded by your consumer base. So wellness tourism, so vacation rentals. We have an example here of one of our amazing partners, Black Fox Cabin in North Carolina. I've actually been to this space here. It's overlooking beautiful mountains. They have the whole setup, a really beautiful, rich amenities to offer their guests. And we have so many partners like that. So when we share this deck out, you'll be able to go to our website and see all the different partners, Airbnbs, vacation rentals, and hotels that do offer our assortment and have seen benefits from their customers, whether it's been, like I said, increased bookings or just customer satisfaction, guest satisfaction. Sorry, I have to look a little bit for my button. There it is. Oops, going too fast. Why invest in, am I going too fast, Taylor? I hope I'm not speeding through this. Okay, good. All right, good on time. Thank you. Why invest in wellness amenities? So obviously guest expectations are changing. I know I recently was looking for a romantic vacation with my husband, and all I was searching for was, where are there hot springs? Where can I get a sauna in that hotel? I made the decision to book the hotel that I booked because it had a sauna in it and it had a steam room in it. And that was an amenity that was really crucial for me. So I do feel that I'm not the only one. Obviously, the trends are there as well of what people are looking for and what their expectations are. Sustainability innovation. So also there is a, not only are they wellness conscious, but they are also eco-conscious. So offerings like a wood-fired hot tub, things that kind of have a lower footprint, are also really important to them. And that's something that you can share within your guest experience as part of the story, is that not only is this something that's going to benefit them, but also not taking away from anything for the environment. And then mental health integration. I'm sure we all feel stressed and we all kind of are looking for ways and healthier ways to manage our stress levels. And oftentimes vacation and taking a break is a part of that. So why not extend the benefit of a vacation and including wellness features that enhance that experience and really help people disconnect. Digital detox. I did bring my phone into sauna today. I felt really guilty about it. Kellen will probably say, no, don't do that. But there is a benefit there too, right? Of kind of disconnecting from our devices, but then connecting more with each other. I always talk about how I love that my son always hops in the sauna with me and shares his stories of his day. So something else that I think is like it seems like a smaller item, but really it kind of adds to the overall experience that you'll have or your guests will have. Okay, so Taylor, I think you're up.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in a little bit about the data here. So, what we did was, when you think of Nashville, Tennessee, for example, right? You think Broadway, honky tonks, country music, but you don't necessarily think of like a place that, oh, when I think Airbnb, I'm going to think a hot tub. Well, you can see from this data from AirDNA here on the left, this chart shows annual revenue, occupancy rate, average daily rate for properties that have hot tubs, and on the right, it's properties without hot tubs. And I mean, if you just look at that annual revenue, those occupancy rates, that average daily rate, they're all significantly higher on properties that have a hot tub. And like I mentioned, a market that you don't necessarily even associate with like must have a hot tub. Okay, you can go to the next one. The next market we looked at was Salt Lake City, Utah. A bit more of a market that maybe you expect a hot tub in, a little bit more, but again, not necessarily like must have. And still, that annual revenue and that average daily rate are significantly higher on properties that have hot tub. Occupancy rate is about the same, but if you're getting the average daily rate, occupancy rate isn't as important there. So, okay, next, then the last market we took a look at was Broken Bow, Oklahoma, which most people are familiar with Broken Bow, but it is definitely like a prime short-term rental market. It's where Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all meet. It's beautiful. And this one for sure shows the importance of having a hot tub. This is a market where you think hot tub, it's all cabins, woods, and I mean the annual revenue is almost $30,000 higher for properties that have hot tubs. And again, like this also goes in with having a hot tub. You probably think of a more luxurious stay. There's other amenities as well, but it just shows how these small wellness amenities can make such a big impact on your revenue drivers. And I think up next is Alex is going to talk us through some more data.
Yeah, so would love to get into saunas specifically. As Nick previewed for us, adoption rates have really increased with wellness trends and just hosts wanting to invest in their guest experience. So you'll see that in 2021, coastal leisure was actually leading the pack with saunas, but actually in 2024, that increased across the different regional segments. And we are actually seeing that mountain leisure and large city, both urban and suburban, have increased their sauna concentration quite a bit. If we want to, Nick, if we want to go to the next slide. So getting into the revenue a bit, this is kind of a funky chart to look at, but the takeaway is that the average revenue for investment grade properties with saunas has increased across the different segments between 27 and 72%. So we know that saunas are an investment, but that is the investment is clearly worth it and revenue is following. We can jump to the next slide. This slide I think is the most interesting because it really hones in on ROI and what that payback period is. So adding saunas to your investment properties in specific regions, so again, those large city suburban areas, we are seeing ROIs between 180 and 300%. And that translates to a payback period of 7 months. So again, as we mentioned, certainly not an insignificant investment, but we are really seeing that guests are responding both with those ADRs and those occupancies, and your payback period is significantly shorter than other amenities. And I think we're going to go into some Q&A.
Yeah, there's already some great questions happening in the chat, which this is why we brought Kellen, because he is the knower of all saunas information on the planet. So Kellen, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm seeing some great questions, and this is, my team and I were on the phone with customers day in and day out, and a lot of these these questions that I'm seeing already are very great questions, ones that we answer quite frequently. So I'm just going to take them from the chat, if that's okay, Nick, Alex, and Taylor. Let's see, what voltage is required for indoor saunas? Almost all of our saunas require either 240 volts or 208 volts. Most of our heaters are available in both voltages. It really just depends on what you have available in your location. Most of the time in a residential location, it is going to be 240 volts. Usually we see 208 volts more in the commercial setting. Okay, Delise joined late, but we do have both infrared and traditional. Is one better than the other? Now that is a question for the ages. You really just have to experience both, truthfully. Everybody has their own opinion. What we hear from a lot of traditional sauna customers, though, this is not a diss to infrared sauna users, but it's that they'll never return to an infrared sauna. They'll stick with traditional. Traditional is, it gets much hotter. You can pour water on the stones. You get the traditional sauna experience. Infrared is it targets that 140, 150 Fahrenheit range. It is a plug and play. So that is one positive. It can plug into your standard outlet. But again, it doesn't get as hot, and it's not often what users are expecting when they get a sauna. Let's see here. The barrel sauna at your glamping site. That's good. Glad to see that.
And how does the wood? Sorry, and they have a Harvia heater too.
Yeah, they do. How does the wood stand up in the sun? That's a great question. We sell all over the United States, Alaska, we sell in Montana, Maine, very northernmost regions, and we sell in Florida, Arizona a lot, California, all over. So the lumber sees the whole spectrum of abuse, and it holds up very, very well. I always tell customers the best way to maintain your sauna is to use it, right? You're cycling the heater, you're drying it out. And most of the time, the sauna is being used multiple times a week, so that's really not a problem. The lumber will age over time, as any wood will. Any fence that you put up, it'll gray over time. However, we do offer our own line of sauna stains that you can apply to the exterior of the sauna, and that very effectively preserves the original look and even enhances it in some ways for many, many years. We also have our saunas available with a black stain on the interior and exterior. And that also really extends the length and the quality of the sauna over time. You know, to kind of go down that thread a little further, how long do our saunas last? We've got customers calling back for replacement parts 20, 25 years after the initial purchase. So it really is a long-term investment, and very, very easy to maintain. I think I saw a maintenance question earlier. Another very common question. People often have this mentality of an electric hot tub in their mind. You know, that's the maintenance required chemicals, water changes, and maybe an increased electrical bill. I have a hot tub myself. You know, this is not a diss on hot tubs at all, but you know, saunas are much lower maintenance in regards to that. It's kind of a set it and forget it. The electrical cost of it, you're only paying for the electricity used while the sauna is being used, right? It's not constantly on like a hot tub would be. General maintenance, you know, maybe power wash the inside of it once or twice a year. Pretty easy to maintain. So overall, very easy in that regard. EMF testing, another common question. Both infrared and traditional saunas do have EMF, as any electrical appliance will. Do I have any official reports on these? I do not, but I can tell you that we have used a milligauss reader, which is I believe it's the quantifier that we use when measuring EMF. And it's very consistent with your average everyday appliances, computers, you know, hair dryers, things like that. So, and you have to be right next to it to really read it. As long as you're like a foot away from it, it's pretty much nil. We added a hot tub, great. Expected of cleaners between turns with barrel saunas. That is really at your own discretion. You know, maybe that can be part of the cleaning routine after the guests leave. I'm not certain, but really all that's done is a wipe down of the bench where people sit. It's again very, very easy to maintain. Nick, are you thinking of any other questions while I continue to read through these?
I'm just thinking about the question regarding, you know, cleaning between guests. There is sauna etiquette, right, Kellen, about kind of how, and there's ways that we can communicate that, as far as a lot of people like to sauna in the nude. It's best to have a towel down, things like that, little tips like that. As well as we do actually have a sauna cleaning kit that helps kind of keep everything kind of clean, and you can do that as much as you want. I don't think there's a limit on how much you can clean, but really it comes down to making sure everyone kind of wipes the area after they're gone, utilizes towels, robes, things like that, and just overall etiquette. We don't have any necessarily specific instructions to give to guests, but we'd be happy to help you work through that and get you the best information to provide to them. Potential damage. You know, the only thing I can think of, Kellen, would be if someone got rogue with potentially maybe one of our wood burning heater stoves, for instance. But even then, I think normal use, if you're I don't know what the word is, like a functioning normal adult, you probably wouldn't do anything. But I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, Kellen.
Nothing related to an Airbnb. You know, very little can go wrong with the sauna. For Airbnb locations, for example, you know, many of the buyers of the sauna will purchase the very standard heater. That means you have to physically go into the sauna, turn it on, and so you have to lay eyes on the heater itself. So there's nothing, you know, nobody left anything on top of the heater, anything like that. But very little in regards to that. Let's see here. The weight, regarding the weight and placing them on a deck, how close can it be to the house? You should expect the sauna, depending on the one that you get, without people in it, to weigh anywhere from 6 to 1,500 pounds. That can vary a lot with how big of a sauna you get, as well as what kind of a heater you get. How close can you place it to your house? It can be very, very close. We have customers that push it within a couple of inches of the house. You do need some space around the sauna to build it. But once it's fully assembled, it is totally fine to push it within a couple of inches of the house. It insulates the heat very, very well. So you're not going to have to be concerned about that affecting any siding or anything like this. How long does a standard sauna take to heat up? Another great question. On average, with your average ambient temperature, you should expect anywhere from 40 to 55 minutes. That's a bit of a subjective term. Some people like saunas at 150. Some, like myself, I like at 200 degrees Fahrenheit or more. It really is kind of subjective. So it also depends on the ambient temperature outside. If it's an outdoor sauna in the middle of winter in Montana, you're going to expect a little bit longer of a heat up time than normal. And that's just basic thermodynamics. But on average, I would say 40 to 50, 55 minutes, more or less.
Mine heated up today at 20 minutes. I was so excited because it's
Ooh.
warm out now. Yeah. I have the Verta heater, which is one of our most powerful heaters that Harvia makes. It's a really wonderful product. And then we have competitions between me and my husband about how hot we can hang out inside the sauna for.
Let's see here.
I think something that someone mentioned was, how have you guys seen like cold plunges come into the play as they have started to trend a bit more? How have you seen them come into play with like amenities in short-term rentals? Are you seeing a lot of short-term rentals go towards cold plunges? Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, I would say that cold plunges, of all the trends that we've seen in this market, is the fastest launch that I've ever seen. It took off very, very quickly. People are extremely interested in the hot cold therapy. I think every manufacturer out there is racing to keep up. It came out of nowhere. There really is a lot of science behind it, just contrasting the sauna temperature with the cold plunge temperature. And that's fantastic. Whether it's an electric cold plunge or, a feeding trough that you fill with ice, it doesn't matter. It seems to be very, very popular and something that we're really exploring on our own website and having some great success with, right, Nick?
Yeah. I would say definitely. I think I lost my train of thought earlier about my experience in Finland, and they have these beautiful lakes and they sauna and then they hop in the lake, and it kind of creates that contrast therapy experience. So I would say your body almost like tingles afterward. You feel like you're flying. It's amazing. So I highly recommend including both sauna and plunge. I can't wait to get mine. I just gotta get Kellen to give me a good deal.
We can
Got it.
talk.
All right.
I see another question here. What is the lifetime expectancy of a sauna, assuming it's properly maintained?
Yeah, properly maintained, I would expect it to be anywhere from 20 to 35 years. The lumber is primarily cedar that we sell, and it really holds up to the weather. Again, it depends on how well you maintain it. Are you using a protective stain? If you're not using it for 6 months at a time and it gets really humid or some rain gets in there or something like that, that may cause a problem. But that's outside of what we can control. But well maintained, 20 to 30, 35 years is pretty typical.
Nice. Can you guys talk through the different heater options?
Ooh, my favorite topic. Yes. Um, Basically there's two types of heaters that we play in. It's the wood burner option, which is about 10 to 15% of our sales. The majority of them are electric heater options. There are gas heaters in the market as well. We do not deal with that. There is another company that does that, but it's not something we partake in at this time. Electric heaters, we'll focus on that for now. For many, many years, it was just the basic heater with a dial, to turn it on and turn it off and to control the thermostat. Very, very basic. Over the past 5 years, though, what we've seen is a big expansion in the Wi-Fi feature. And I will tell you this, that we've been able to upsell and increase our average sale price significantly with the advent of this Wi-Fi, right? And it's also convenient for your guests. It's typically correlated with a more powerful heater. I have the Verta just like Nick does. The Verta in Finnish actually means power. It's my staff and I's favorite heater to upsell to. It gets to temperature faster. There is absolutely nothing that can go wrong with it. So less of a headache for you if you get that. It does need a larger sized sauna due to its spatial size as well as heating capacity. So keep that in mind. A lot of these heaters, they have the Wi-Fi option, but you can also bring the start feature into your home. So it's just a 4x6 inch touchpad. You probably don't want your guests connecting to Wi-Fi on a case-by-case basis, but they can just press the button on this remote control that you can mount in the main structure of your house or hotel, whatever it might be, and they can start it from there. So very, very convenient. They don't have to walk out to the sauna. The Verta heater, again, means power. Cylindro heater is another type of heater that we sell. It's the most popular heater overseas, and that's because it really specializes in steam. It holds about 200 plus pounds of stones, so you can really pour a lot of, we're going to try this, loila. That's the Finnish way of saying the steam. I'm sorry to any Finns out there, I may have butchered that. But it can generate a lot of steam, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. However, it doesn't have as high of a temperature capacity as the Verta. A couple of other smaller heaters, the Spirit heater has been immensely popular. We launched it about a year and a half ago, and it's been outselling the Verta heater, which we never thought would happen, but it is. That heater is available in the 6, 8, and 9 kilowatt sizes. If you're looking for something a little more powerful, I'd encourage you to entertain the Verta. And then there's the standard heater, which is the KIP heater. It's been around forever. It's tried and true. It's a workhorse. It is available with Wi-Fi compatibility. However, most of the time it is purchased with just the basic controls, the dial to control the timer and the thermostat. Wood burners, again, that's a lot of people frown on that for an Airbnb type location, just because of, you can't always trust somebody starting a fire, but it's certainly something that we see a lot more overseas in European countries, and we are starting to see a surge of that here in the U.S.
And there is an element there if you were worried about electrical or had any challenges with electrical. Some older buildings, sometimes electrical isn't quite set up the way it needs to be to power some of our electric heaters. A wood burning stove is sometimes a better option. But I'm with Kellen. Verta all day.
Linda asked a really good question. Do you lock the outdoor saunas from your guests during the warm weather? So locking the sauna, I think, is the question. We don't really advise that. We don't provide any locks. We don't provide any guidance on that. We don't want to have something accidentally happen while somebody's in the sauna. That's your call as the owner, but it's not something we advise or recommend. How well does the door? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to keep going through questions, so keep going. All good.
Let's see here. How well does the door seal between uses, and can an automated electronic lock? Okay, we addressed the lock. No, don't advise that. But how well does the door seal? It seals well. And if somebody buys a sauna and says, hey, there's a lot of air movement around the door, that's intentional. A lot of the ventilation and fresh air comes in around the door. In Finland, if you go to Finland, you'll see a 3 to 4 inch gap at the base of the door, and that's intentional. You do want fresh air coming in. In our saunas, most of it comes in naturally around the door and then out some vent holes that are typically located behind the heater. Let's see here.
How does the cold plunge work? We do have I know, Kellen, you probably can speak to this a little bit better, but the cold plunge in particular has a filter, and it's a smart chiller. So essentially it's a small box that is connected to the plunge, cools the water, and then it filters it back through. I would recommend multiple changes of that filter. It is a one single person unit. Our current cold plunges are just for one person use. Kellen, I don't know if you have anything to add to that to give a little bit more direction on cold plunge.
No, it's pretty basic. I think you covered all the topics. The chiller, the filter, how often is the water changed? I would imagine that it would be between uses, between guests. I would expect you'd probably want to change that. But a filter can handle quite a bit. You don't have to change the filter all that frequently. Matthew, to answer your question about the Braxton, if you're relatively handy with a drill and a screwdriver, yeah, it's not hard to swap the heater to the other side and move the bench to the other side. Give us a call if you need help with that. Let's see here.
Kellen, I know you touched on maintenance a bit, but one question was just if there are specific products you recommend for cleaning both inside or the exterior, whether that's, stay away from certain chemicals. Would love if you could touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a great sauna care set for the heater cleaner, as well as the sauna bench cleaner. A lot of people do apply a paraffin oil to the benches as well to protect them a little bit more. Myself, what I do for my own sauna, I got 4 kids that run in and out of the sauna, pretending it's a spaceship or whatever, you know, and it's not being used as a sauna. So it gets a little dirty. I like to, you know, just put some Dawn dish soap in there, scrub it down, and power wash the interior once every 6 months or so. But overall, and then you want to cycle the heater probably for 3 or 4 hours just to dry it out, make sure it gets a real nice dry finish to it before you start using it again. So that's, you know, we do have the Harvia care set, which is becoming very, very popular. Just really convenient to have that to wipe down the benches and all that. Let's see. How long from when it is ordered to when we receive the sauna? It's a great question. In general, if it's like a barrel sauna, it's going to be typically anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Some of the larger ones do require specialized shipping. They need a flatbed carrier. They're too big to be offloaded with a lift gate. So we do ship those on flatbed, and those we typically schedule out anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, sometimes up to 10 weeks if it's during the busy season. But on average, the smaller units that we can ship LTL can ship anywhere from 1 week if it's in stock to 2 to 4 weeks or so, I would say is the typical average. Is there a drain in the sauna? Yes, there is a drain in the barrel saunas. It depends on how big the sauna is, but there's anywhere from 1 to 3 drains in the bottommost stave. In the assembly instructions, we say to start with that stave as it's the bottommost, so that it's convenient for you when you do elect to clean it.
And Kellen, there was a couple questions. You touched on this a bit, but just a couple questions. Number one, can a sauna go under a deck? And then also just general infrastructure requirements. So I know you mentioned that they can get within a few inches of another structure, but if you could just touch on just generally what you recommend, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Being under a deck is no problem. Very, very popular. It's the heat loss is very it's dissipated. It's slowed down because that wood, the lumber that we use, is 1 3/4 inches thick, so it holds in that heat very, very well. It will escape, and you will see some heat coming out of the sauna on a cold night, but overall, totally fine to put it under a deck. I've seen it have as little as 6 inches of clearance above the sauna. Totally fine, totally normal. It's very convenient. A lot of people prefer to have that, so it doesn't take up space perhaps in their yard. In general, for an indoor sauna, if you're putting an indoor sauna like tucked into a corner, we do recommend about 2 inches of clearance around the sauna. If it's going against drywall or something like this, just to have some ventilation. That wood will very slowly absorb and then release any moisture that might be in there. But a lot of people are asking the question, should I be concerned about mold? No, I've never taken a report of mold on an indoor sauna. You're going to be extremely surprised at how little water it takes to get that real intense burst of steam that saunas are known for. I mean, after 2, it's like you got to get out of there. So it's pretty intense, especially in a smaller sauna. But to mitigate any potential for that, 2 inches of clearance around an indoor wall is recommended. Is there an auto shut-off timer? Yes, that's really important. The part of the UL certification process was that the heater has to turn off after 1 hour. And so you don't have to worry about somebody leaving it on for 12 hours or something at a time. It's the one complaint you might get is I have to go back into the sauna to turn it on every time. Well, that is true. It is a safety feature that UL requires, but that's another feature of that digital control that can also be used with the Wi-Fi. You can mount that in the home, so the customer just has to go in there and press the button and start it. But yes, auto shut off on every single one of our heaters. Is there an option to get the sauna on a trailer? I'm going to assume that is referring to mounting it on a trailer, fully assembled, so you can use it. Yes, that is very, very popular. We work with some people that do that. They have a fleet now of saunas, which is pretty slick. It's very, very popular. Those are typically wood burners, maybe propane. Obviously, it'd be very hard to transport 240 volts. You'd have to have quite a generator to do that. And it may be cost prohibitive if you do that, but wood burners are extremely popular, and that you would need a larger sauna for. So our larger barrels are very popular for that. Warranty, great question. All these are great questions. I know I keep saying that, but warranty is limited lifetime on the sauna itself. And that's related to really any manufacturing defect that you might find. Typically, these are found, immediately, and we resolve that immediately. There's no lag time in fulfilling, if you need a replacement board or two, we'll get that out right away. And again, if you take care of the sauna and it's been assembled correctly, it'll last you 20 to 30 plus years. The heater itself, you'll probably have to change the heater once or twice throughout the life of the sauna, at least the heating coils. Most of our heaters have 3 heating coils. We do cover those with a 1-year warranty. Most of the time with average use, they will last for 3 to 5 years. But if it's in a commercial setting, you may have to replace those every 1 to 2 years. But properly used, they certainly have a good length of life. And when I say the heating coils, those are the things that radiate the heat. Very easy to change for any electrician, so very low cost on that. Yes, there is a sauna cold plunge combo option. Nick, I think you can speak a little bit more articulately to that as what we're offering.
Yeah, we do have that, but although I don't know if we have that with Minoan, but we do have a product combinations that suggest certain pairings with a sauna and a certain cold plunge. Since we have 2 different cold plunge options, we have a stainless steel interior and a plastic lined interior. They're very similar models, just that interior section is the difference. And then we have certain sauna models that are best paired with them, whether it's the same kind of style of wood or the kind of the same style of the same style of wood. It kind of, I lost my thought there. Lost my train of thought there, guys. Sorry. But yes, we do offer combinations.
One question I haven't seen yet, and one that we get a lot, is how difficult is assembly? If you can do an IKEA shelf or something like this, it'll be fine. We get very few complaints. I don't think I've ever fielded a call that somebody said, I give up, I can't do it. The barrel saunas, it's an easy 4 to 6 hour project for any husband and wife or couple or family get together, whatever it might be. It's very, very simple to do. And we engineer it that way. These are DIY kits for the most part. There are a few SKUs, mainly the cabin saunas, that it's often it's often seen that the customer hires a contractor to build it because it's a 2 or 3 day ordeal. You have to have a solid foundation, typically a concrete slab. And it goes together a bit like a Lincoln log set, but it does require quite a bit of time and commitment. But again, I would say 9 out of 10 saunas can be assembled in 4 to 6 hours.
We do have support instructional videos as well as our manuals and our amazing support and staff to help you walk through any questions you have about install.
Oh, Jeff Waters said about the IKEA shelves. Yeah, Jeff, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that actually struggled with them because they were a little tricky.
That is too funny. Okay, awesome. These were great questions. Thank you everyone so much. If we have any last minute questions, you can throw them in the chat. But if not, thanks everyone for attending today. Thank you, Nick and Kellen, for being here and answering all our questions. We do send an email after this to everyone with a recording of this webinar. So if you want to go back and look at anything or re-listen, you will get a link to do that later today. So thanks, everyone. We appreciate you being on here, and we will see you at the next webinar.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.